This show is brought to you by Directory.com, the safest way to hire a contractor.
And we are back with one last story for today. But before we go into the story, I want to share my phone number is 612-558-4881. I also going to put, if you watch on YouTube, in comments and in description of the video how to reach us. If you're the homeowner and you have a crazy story, question, or just need our help with your contractor, reach out. That's what we're here for. The last story is right down Randy's path. Like, you've been a firefighter before, so this contractor and a homeowner in Connecticut got caught working together to burn down the homeowner's house, all to cash in insurance money. Very common. A lot of people think that burning their houses is the easiest insurance fraud. The homeowner, Robert Lee May, originally told authorities a story about grilling hamburgers and chasing his dog, but investigators found unusual burn patterns and uncovered the truth. Lee May eventually confessed that Boisvert had started the fire. He said the contractor convinced him to let him damage his house, which was already in bad shape. Lee May told police every time he saw Roger, he would just repeat, "Stupidity is covered." No, it's not. Eventually, Lee May agreed to the plan in the hopes of getting a new house. The contractor brought a grill over, which he draped a blanket over. Investigator also found evidence of 3 spots on the porch that were lit on fire. When firefighters arrived, it was 97 degrees out. One of them had to be taken to the hospital to be treated for heat exhaustion. The house was declared a total loss. Yeah, they haven't been in Texas, have they, Randy? So both men were arrested in 2019, given $350,000 bonds. Boisvert was finally sentenced in 2025. He will serve 18 months in jail for second-degree arson, causing injury, and conspiracy to commit insurance fraud. Homeowner Robert Lee May, 73, still facing charges, 27 counts of reckless endangerment, conspiracy to commit arson, insurance fraud, and a resisting arrest. He pleaded not guilty. What do you guys think? Crazy story.
Oh, goodness. I don't know where to start. So from my fireman days, I'm a 17-year retired fire captain. You're not going to get away with it, folks. Very few arsons that we investigated. We couldn't tell the origin of the start. And, from commercial to residential.
How common are arsons?
Oh, they're pretty common. Larger cities are more common than smaller.
Is it usually for insurance fraud, trying to get paid?
Yep. Yeah. For similar reasons as this guy was convinced. I think that the real they're both criminals in this case, but similar to the last story, this guy took advantage of a 79-year-old whose cognitive functions probably weren't the best. He probably would have made this similar decision 20 years ago, because from the articles and research, it doesn't look like the homeowner had any prior history. The contractor had history going back a long time across like 5 or 6 other states. So he had been doing this similar thing for a long time, committing fraud. And so, it's pretty ridiculous to think that a homeowner would agree. But yeah, when their house is decrepit, it's built in the 70s, they're having, issues with it. And then they have some slick-tongued criminal that comes along and says, "Man, we could burn this thing down and get your insurance company to build you a new one, and I'll build it for you." It apparently it sounded like a good idea for this guy at the time, but it's nuts. And it wasn't the first time. This guy did this in 2000 with the daycare center as well. Hopefully it was meant to be done while it was closed, but who knows how sick these guys are.
So he was linked, but it was ruled that as an incident. But finally,
well, it was ruled as an incinerary. So he.
What does it
so
mean?
ultimately, it was ruled that it was started. It was started by an incinerary, like fuel of some sort.
I see.
So it's nuts.
Brent, have you ever experienced fires like that?
Not like that. I used to work in fire mitigation. And I mean, we would have a lot of apartment fires mostly from neglect, or they had a grill and they weren't supposed to have a grill, that type of thing. I was never on the side where the inspectors come out and like we never really got the results really unless we saw it on the news. But it's kind of interesting too because it looks like the insurance claims that he's linked to, like that daycare center was his wife's daycare center.
Wow.
So, I mean, that points right back to him. I don't know if they could get him for that. He had also 2 water damage claims in his home. I'm sure he knew how to fraudulently have water damage claims, needed those new floors, right? And it was a dishwasher malfunction and a clogged toilet. So, all I got to say is about this guy is his stupidity was not covered.
Yeah, it was not covered. You guys in Texas take your fire hazard and fire rules to the next level. I was in Austin, Texas last week. We visited a roofing company that was operated out of the house, and the house was older house that got rezoned to commercial property. And I've never seen fire driveway like that. So they have a huge parking lot, but half of the parking lot has the fire lanes, and you can park in it, right? So it's a small business, but they have probably like 20 vehicles, and they have to park on the left side and all the way to the tiny garage in the back. 2 red fire lanes. I'm like, you guys cannot park there. If that would be in my native country, like Russia, everybody would be parking everywhere. But here in Texas, like, hey, you don't mess with it. See these 2 lines? Like, you don't know, park, you don't come close. And they had to remodel the house with the expanding openings, like a little bit wider, I think 3 foot, like every doorway in the house. In order to get the commercial zoning, they have to expand the jam. They also have to remove tub in one of the bathrooms so you can roll in a wheelchair.
Well, Texas is no exception when it comes to over regulating things, and the original reason
way under regulated.
Yeah, well, in this case, over regulating, like putting such ridiculous fire apparatus positions in a parking lot where it makes the rest of the parking lot useless during business hours. The original purpose for those was for tall structures, so that if your goal is to keep your apparatus out of the collapse zone in case a 3-story, 4-story hotel were to collapse, you don't have your apparatus right up against the building. But in this case, it sounds like it was a home that got rezoned to commercial. Your collapse zone is not going to be that. But
so you don't agree with it, I see.
Yeah. In that particular case, it was kind of ridiculous. But we have had experiences here in the last 18 months, even in our own community, where a gentleman, we did his roof, and then the project manager called me. You're never going to believe what I just got a call about. Remember Mr. Such and Such? Oh, yeah. He just burned his house down. You're kidding me. No, it gets better. He then drove into a neighboring county, got into a police chase, and they chased him to a local lake where he drove his vehicle into the lake, and then they fished him out of the lake and arrested him. So it does happen more frequently than you expect.
Did he do it on purpose, like for insurance money?
Well, their intention was never obviously given to us as a contractor, but it's only assumed that was the case because he just had. We're thinking, of course, if we're just speculating, we're thinking he had the balance that he had to pay us, and he didn't have it. So he figured if I burn the house down, then I can file another insurance claim or whatever. I don't know. Ironically,
so
just 2 weeks ago, we got paid we got paid the balance.
So he got paid for his roof by his insurance, and he's like, "Let me see what else I can do."
Yeah, probably. Who knows?
So we covered the story in Florida a couple months ago. It was a company that was upside down crazy, $2 million, and owing money everyone, salespeople, suppliers, cannot produce the jobs. And towards the end of it, guess what happened? Huge fire breaks into their office, and the whole, not house, the warehouse, and the whole commercial building just gets burned down. And sure enough, investigation is underway. And and that's the first thing that they look into, financial documents. Like my uncle was committed of insurance fraud on my wife's side. Shouldn't talk about him on the radio, but That's the first thing. When you're about to file bankruptcy, when you barely can pay your bills, and your house gets, on fire accidentally, that's the first thing they're gonna look. That's the first
Absolutely.
thing. Brent, finish the story. What do you think?
Honestly, I'm just curious. Again, I like to look at how stuff like this started. So, like, what was their first interaction? Like, did he call him out like it was just a normal lead? Like, hey, I need some work done to my house. How did they both start talking about burning his house down? I don't know if it's terrifying or hilarious or both at the same time, but that is just super weird.
Stupidity is covered, they say. No, it's not. I'm pretty sure State Farm will not agree. Allstate will not agree. Stupidity is not covered. That's like the dumbest thing I've heard from a contractor ever. Lee May told police, every time I saw Roger, he would just repeat, stupidity is covered. It's
not
like,
in this case, buddy.
Imagine if you're the contractor and this is your slogan.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome show, guys. Thank you for your feedback. Comment below. What do you guys think about today's stories? If you watch us on YouTube, if you have a question for us, if you're a radio listener, text me. And if you want our cops, text me as well. And I'll be sending them all next week. See you on the next episode.
Directory.com, the safest way to find a roofing contractor. The Directory app is free to use, and all contractors and their jobs come with a $20,000 guarantee. Directory is a concierge service. They find and recommend contractors to use for home improvement and back them up with a $20,000 guarantee. In case a contractor takes your money and runs away, Directory will give you your money back or will finish the project if the contractor disappears and ghosts the project. Directory doesn't give bad recommendations, but in case of a dispute, you are covered with a $20,000 guarantee. Download the app now and hire your next contractor with peace of mind.